Greetings, everyone. So today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Normally, I just do this for my group number 5 in the VGC Draft League, but I'm cheering on my friend Sanaito here over in group number 11. And since it's their last match of the regular season here, we're just gonna go ahead and take a look at their last set of replays for week number 7. So, just to comment on their team first, we got the Goldingo, Sylveon, Talonflame, Serena, Tinkaton, Rapscus, Cyclozar, Vaporeon, Donphan, Ampharos, and Flareon. Overall, a really well-rounded team in my opinion. Initially, the Talonflame was Hariyama and the Tinkaton was Noivern. So if the Noivern Goldingo combo looks, any kind of familiar, you can kind of guess where that came from. But they ended up trading over for the other Talonflame Tinkaton just to have a more comfortable offense from their end. While Hariyama added some utility with its fake out and even the adding on the burn orb plus guts for heavy offense on the physical side, I was a little bit too slow for them, so they want to speed things up by having a priority tailwind to better support Goldingo and Sylveon. You also have a little bit better offense than the Noivern by having access to priority Brave Bird if you truly need to do so. You also have access to things like Feint, Will-O-Wisp, and Taunt, all just very valid support options to help out the Goldingo and Sylveon there. Then the Tinkaton themselves, it's a player favorite, but you also have the ability to use Helping Hand to support Goldingo by use of Mold Breaker, since normally you can't use Helping Hand because of Good as Gold. You also have options like Thunder Wave won't be drawn away by the Lightning Rod, so you have that into this matchup if you really want to. Just a lot of cool stuff there that really flows well with their play style, I think. On the other side, though, we do have the Dragonite Pelipper team, which has generally been scary at least from what we've witnessed here in group number 5, while Ryu's been piloting it. So Dragonite's priority number 1 that you have to either soak up damage from or get rid of immediately. And then the Pelipper is setting up, this time we're not looking at Rotom or Floatzel or even Palafin. Instead, we're looking at Tauros, Dreadnought, and even Beartic directly benefiting from the rain. Dreadnought and Beartic both having access to the Swift Swim ability. Now, while Beartic isn't the fastest Pokemon, even with the Swift Swim boosting it up, it can be counteracted by the Tailwind from Talonflame depending on what Pokemon it's supporting at the same time, so Dragon Boy's got to be a little bit careful of that. Also, with the typings on Sanaito's team, the Ghost type from Goldingo's, Sylveon's Fairy typing, even Talonflame's Flying typing, they may be short Tauros here. Well, I'm not going to say maybe, they were short Tauros here. I've already seen the matches, I just want to take you through the analysis as if I were looking at this before the matchup actually. But yeah, Tauros doesn't want to stare down those Pokemon, so they'll have to rely on their other pieces, and they're free to do things like Raichu and Jolteon in place of the Tauros, but I think Lucario, Lumineon, and Wigglytuff on the lower end of the spectrum just not going to make that much of an impact here if they were to bring it along. So also there's also the Dunsparce. No, they might be shying away from using the Dunsparce because of the Goldingo and Tinkaton. They may end up having trouble doing damage from that standpoint. So just relying solely on their rain options. They can even use Special Dragonite with Hurricane if they wanted to. They use a different option that we'll see in game that actually benefits from the rain, so that stay tuned for that. But you kind of expect Dreadnought to do a lot of the heavy lifting once the rain is up. So enough of that, let's just go ahead and take you into the matches themselves. Game number 1, and here you see that Sanaito's opted for Sylveon, Tinkaton, Serena, Talonflame, Goldingo, and Vaporeon. Dragon Boy selected Raichu, Pelipper, Beartic, Dreadnought, Jolteon, and Dragonite. Pretty much everything that you could expect from these players here, especially the Vaporeon from Sanaito. They have some favoritism for that, but they're leading off with Talonflame and Sylveon staring down a Jolteon and Raichu. They swap out the Talonflame for the Serena, expecting the Fake Out to come in and catch it. stops that in its place, while the discharge comes out from Jolteon, boosting Raichu's special attack thanks to the lightning rod, doing some chip damage to both Serena and Sylveon, but taking a huge hyper voice on the way back for that turn. Quick attack just to finish off the Raichu there, well done, before it can get a move, and Sanaito's off to a great start. Another discharge comes in, still just doing chip damage, but gets a paralysis on the Serena, which may be crucial later. Drop kick to finish off the Jolteon, and now Dragon Boy is dealing with a 2v4. They're going to send out Dragonite to tie up the back end of this match alongside Beartic. They're going to swap, Sanaito's going to swap out Serena for Goldingo to take the ice attack they're expecting to be aimed into it, and they correctly do so as the ice punch was aimed into that slot, and they minimize it with the steel typing from Goldingo. Waterfall is shown from Dragonite though to try and take out the Sylveon, and Sanaito's going to defend against it by switching Sylveon out into Serena. Goldingo to protect, trying to scout out what they're going to do, and correctly does so as the Earthquake came out from the Beartic. Does minimal damage to Serena as the Waterfall does the same there, still not enough to KO it, and Goldingo's going to have to Terastallize here, so it takes minimal damage from the Earthquake. Uses Thunderbolt into the now Terra Water Beartic, do over half its life. As the Earthquake comes in, not enough to KO either Pokemon, and neither is the Waterfall that Goldingo now resists thanks to Terra Water. Meanwhile, Drop Kick from Serena is a critical hit, but I believe it still would have taken out the Beartic either way. Goldingo, though, going to follow up with a Make It Rain, just to do some chip damage there, may have found the multi-scale and broken it. Dragon Claw, though, since Goldingo doesn't resist it anymore, is going to take it out. Meanwhile, Serena, with a full paralysis, not going to be able to move this turn. Talonflame's coming in to try and see what it can do to tie up this endgame. The Dragonite is going to protect here just to scout out what the Talonflame does, but unfortunately Talonflame sets up Tailwind so it can prep for these final turns as the Sylveon is still waiting in the back. Serena tries to get in one more Drop Kick to lower Dragonite's attack first. Talonflame's going to protect here. Serena with the full paralysis one more time. Not sure it's going to matter though because the Dragon Claw takes it out either way. That just leaves Sylveon to come back in. It is pretty low. It could be KO'd by an extreme speed if they're not careful. Dragonite is just going to scout out what they want to do and try and stall out these Tailwind turns and is going to protect. Sylveon launches out Hyper Voice, trying to tie this game up before Leftovers fully recovers that what we're expecting is a multi-scale. Talonflame and Sylveon are going to double protect here. It's got to run out the Tailwind turns, but it's still going to allow Talonflame to set up Tailwind this following turn if they need to. And here we are with the Protect from Dragonite though. They're trying to stall Talon to a multi-scale, but Talonflame shows Feint, breaking the protection and allowing Sylveon to use Hyper Voice to clear up this game. So this was a scary turn of events. Sanaito with a strong start, getting that double knockout all in one go with a good setup onto the Sylveon. The full paralysis on the Serena kind of messed them up in the later turns there. We saw it get full parried a couple of times. An attack drop on the Dragonite would have been appreciated just to make this endgame a little bit safer. But we can see already the power of Dragonite. It's hard for Sanaito to defend against, especially once that Goldingo is down and without the benefit of Tinkaton's Steel and Fairy typing to help kind of cushion that as well. So with that first game out of the way, let's see what kind of adjustments Dragon Boy makes in game number 2. Alright, Pokeballs are flying out in game number 2. And we see Sanaito's Talonflame and Sylveon one more time staring down Pelipper and Dreadnought from Dragon Boy. Dragon Boy is just going to protect with the Dreadnought to lead things off. Meanwhile, Sanaito's also taking a defensive stance with a double protect from both of his Pokemon. Pelipper, on the other hand, was going for a quick knockout on the Talonflame if it could help it with the Hurricane. Alright, and now Dreadnought exits the field in favor of Beartic. Meanwhile, Sylveon's going to Terastallize into Fairy type here, so those Hyper Voices are really going to hurt. Feint from the Talonflame to scout out a protector possible wide guard from the Pelipper while it takes a Hurricane, almost being KO'd but gets confused for the trouble. Meanwhile, Sylveon with the Hyper Voice to pick up the KO onto the Pelipper very easily and does a huge chunk to Beartic too. Dreadnought coming in place of Pelipper. So now we're just going to take a defensive stance with protecting the Sylveon here. Meanwhile, the Talonflame goes down to the Rock Slide. No Tailwind up, so the Dreadnought gets to move ahead of it now. Meanwhile, Beartic aiming for the Liquidation into the Sylveon to try and KO it, but no dice. Goldingo coming back in here for the second time this set. So the Beartick's going to switch out into the Jolteon so it doesn't get knocked out by the expected Make It Rain. Dreadnought going to Terra into Grass here and aims a Liquidation over into Sylveon's slot. Finds Serena instead. Doesn't get near, barely gets near 50% of its health. Meanwhile, Goldingo going for the Thunderbolt into the Beartick slot, expecting the Terra Water probably, but just finds Jolteon to Volt Absorb it instead. Serena going to protect here. Correctly does so to not get KO'd by the Ice Spinner there. Meanwhile, Jolteon Shadow Balls the Goldingo, taking a good chunk of its health. Make It Rain comes out, nearly KOs the Dreadnought, and does a decent chunk to the Jolteon here. So now it's going to save Serena for a rainy day here, or another rainy day, while Sylveon comes in and takes the Ice Spinner, only doing 40% health, but the Life Orb tip knocks out the Dreadnought. Meanwhile, a second Shadow Ball comes out to knock out the Goldingo. Alright, we're here in the end game, ladies and gentlemen. Serena comes out and is staring down the Beartick, which is trouble. But they aim a Liquidation into Sylveon just to take it out. Volt Switch from the Jolteon goes into Serena. Still not doing a ton of damage here. And the Trop Kick comes out from Serena, lands into the Beartick, and KOs it. So now it's anyone's game. Jolteon is going to discharge here. Doesn't use Thunderbolt, which could have done some more damage there. But the Trop Kick fires right back and KOs the Jolteon. What an end game there. You have to imagine if that could have gone differently if Thunderbolt was used for the extra damage that it would have done more damage than the discharge due to the higher base power. But Serena, just a really strong attacker, even with a Trop Kick, just KOs the Jolteon, who's pretty frail on the physical side themselves. So, good game and well played to Sanaito. Congrats for winning their Week 7 match. Taking a look at this lineup one more time, we can kind of see just how much impact Sylveon can have against this team without a Steel or a Fire or Poison Terra to resist the Hyper Voices. With the right position, Sylveon just clears the field. A lot of these Pokemon have low special defense stats, like the Pelipper, the Tauros, even the Dreadnought. So it's hard for them to take the Hyper Voices very adequately. They have to just kind of outrun and outgun it. And that's where Talonflame makes things a little bit scary, depending on how Sylveon is EV'd. Because if it gets that Talonflame, if it gets that Tailwind up, excuse me, as long as Sylveon has enough speed to outrun the Beartick under the Tailwind, it just kind of clears the field. Now, that being said, we do have Sanaito's paced here, and the Sylveon's not running that much speed and is going modest, so even with the Tailwind, it was never going to get there, but I understand. It's a little bit of extra bulk, so especially if Tailwind's not up, it can take more attacks. And we can kind of see the effect of that when that Dreadnought launched. That Ice Spinner only did 40% damage. With the extra health pool that Sylveon had with its spread, you can kind of guess the Ice Spinner does much more if they're not, more bulk invested. So it's a little bit of give and take. You get an obvious offensive advantage if you go more speed and utilize the Tailwind appropriately. However, you're able to soak up more damage because you know they're going to be gunning for the Sylveon if you do, spec into bulk instead. Alongside that though, we saw Serena, Talonflame, and Goldingo, so we'll talk about that. The Serena, curiously enough, running Terra Electric with Terra Blast. Just kind of expecting, the potential of a Pelipper matchup where it just needs to get rid of that immediately. And of course, you're not really going to expect Terra Blast Electric on Serena, so the chances of moving Raichu into that slot, especially since it's already prevented from using Fake Out, its utility is kind of low. The expectation is kind of low, right? So you could potentially get off a Terra Blast Electric safely and surprise the Pelipper. So I get that there. Everything else though, you've seen Trop Kick, U-Turn on standard Serena sets, and this one has Focus Sash just so it can take like a Hurricane or like a Terra Blast flying from Dragonite, what have you, and get like a Trop Kick down on the Dragonite to lower its attack, or the Terra Blast Electric on the Pelipper to get the one-hit KO. Talonflame though, with the Sharp Beak, try to take advantage of Dragon Boy's Drizzle ability and turn it against them, using Hurricane rather than Brave Bird. So now it doesn't have to break its gale wings with the recoil damage of Brave Bird. You just fire off the hurricanes either way. Not quite as strong, generally speaking, has a lower special attack stat, and the hurricane's lower base power than Brave Bird, but still a valid option considering the environment itself. And we saw the feint and how potentially, potentially how much of a potential utility it was. Excuse me, can't talk today. Especially when we take into consideration that Pelipper has access to wide guard. With Sylveon being kind of the star of the show, you want to make sure that you prevent them from stopping that hyper voice from going out. We saw that in game 2 where it launched off the feint just in case there was a wide guard, and then Sylveon gets an easy KO with the hyper voice. And then Goldengo with just 3 moves, protect, using a metal coat. The life orb's already taken by Sylveon, so best way to boost damage from the Make It Rain is through the metal coat if they want to do so. Now the players that we didn't get a chance to see were the Tinkaton with the Assault Vest. Has Fake Out and also has access to Feint, so kind of on a similar track there. We're trying to stop those wide guards, give Sylveon some space to actually launch his moves out and destroy the team. And then Knockoff, just for some extra utility, also get to scout out some items if you do that early. And last but not least is Vaporeon. This one's a little bit weird because naturally it has the Water Absorb, so any of the water types that want to press the water move get nullified by this Pokemon. But at the same time, it typically doesn't do much back to those same water types. Now with Drednaw, of course, it takes water attacks neutral and boost it in the rain. Vaporeon's in a pretty good position. You also have Ice Beam for Dragonite if you really need to. So it's a little bit of a weird Pokemon to slot in. Once it comes in, yes, it nullifies those Pokemon, but does it do enough back to it? Didn't get a chance to find out, but just for prep for the match, Sanaito did opt for Terra Fairy, just to help it versus the Tauros if they brought that, and the Dragonite, because we've seen Dragon Boy use Dragon Claw in previous matches, so this helps to tie up the end game. They can't use water moves versus it. They can't use dragon moves versus it. Fighting moves from the Tauros, the close combat gets reduced if they save that Terra Fairy for it. So yeah, all around pretty solid prep from Sanaito to try and tie up this Week 7 match, and well played overall, taking advantage of Sylveon's advantage in the matchup, and then supporting it decently well with the use of Talonflame and the Serena, like one of my favorite combinations. So there you go. All right, probably not doing this again for anyone else, but either way, if you like this, go ahead and just leave a like in the comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.